Everybody, this is Jesse Journey, and I'm going to show you how I create cold emails that get a 50% plus response rate and become a powerful acquisition channel. So I'm going to say this up front, 98% of the marketers that you're reading about cold emails, all these experts, they're just doing it wrong. I know they have a lot of systems, and I know right now it's really popular to enrich stuff with different softwares like Clay, but what I'm about to show you can help you build a powerful client acquisition channel using just 100 emails and a well thought out system in time. So let's dive in. First thing we need to do when doing this is consider what cold email really can be. Most people use cold email as a way to, book appointments or talk to people, and that's fine. To me, cold email is like a lockpick. You can open any door in the business world as long as you know how to pick that lock. And so for this specific training, I'm showing you how to make an acquisition channel for your business using cold email. And here's the 4 steps that you need to start this process and get yourself booked solid in like 90 days. First, you got to start with your ideal lead, okay? When most people build out lists, they just grab a list, they'll do a search or they'll use Apollo or Clay or whatever, and they'll enrich it and then throw the leads into your CRM or into your automation software or whatever, right? But you don't want to do that. You want to start with a list of ideal leads. Now, there's this great concept from a man named Chet called the Dream 100, where you have 100 dream clients. Now, in his premise, the Dream 100 is like 100 ultra, like super famous people that you could work with within your industry. And that's cool. Like that works really well. But if you want to have a really powerful growth really quickly, build a list of Dream 100 clients who have enough money to pay you for your services, who can experience transformational results, taking them from 1 to 2 with your solution. So think about it like this. Who are 100 people that could experience an immediate win working with you? That is your first Dream 100, okay? By finding an audience of people with a problem you can solve easily and that can see an immediate benefit from it, you will have tremendous lift in this. Step 2, stop pitching. Most cold emails suck because it is a direct ask. This person who has no familiarity with you gets an email asking them to give you money with some kind of, promise or social proof or whatever. Don't do that. The best cold emails are conversationals. Because I always tell everybody, your lead can smell a pitch slap 7 emails away. However, what leads do like is conversations. And the reason for conversational emails being so successful is a conversational email opens up the space for the lead to nurture themselves. And that's incredible. I have another training that you can see in my channel about how to use content to get leads to sell themselves. This acquisition channel that I'm talking about and the content system can book you fuller in 90 days with 0 ad spend than anything else can. Okay, so we start with our ideal lead. We focus on making emails that are conversational. Next thing we want to do is we want to build interest with comparison, okay? So this is a great way to leverage social proof, is if you've worked with somebody in a similar situation, you could say something. So like one of the things I do is I help a lot of supplement companies grow their sales to the back end. So what I would say, let's say I'm reaching out to a red light therapy company. I would say something like, I helped XYZ company grow back in sales 25% net for a similar product using these 3 principles. So I've acknowledged the fact that I have a back-end solution, which is very specific to something they can benefit from. I acknowledge that I've gotten success doing similar things for companies like them. And I give them a specific metric that I can, of course, back up if they ask for. And you don't always have to, if you're starting out, you don't necessarily have to use a win if you don't have one. If you know industry standards and you can do comparative industry standard, you could use that as well. So if you're let's say you're an SEO company that helps people rank with AI content, but you haven't really had any wins yet because you're just starting out. What you could say is, hey, Hodinkee saw an increase in organic placement for up to 17% of their content using AI. I can help you do the same using a similar process. So you're not saying that you've done it, but you're acknowledging that it can be done and that you can apply the process that worked for them, for that other company you mentioned to them. Okay. Finally, you're going to make the ask beneficial. This is probably one of the more important parts because it acknowledges a big challenge, right? The ask is what you want them to respond to. And the best asks are very beneficial for the lead. So you've got an ideal lead, you have a conversational like email that you sent them. You've done a comparison that provides social proof either for results that you can deliver or results for processes that you can deliver now. And finally, you're going to make an ask easy. This isn't a pitch, right? Like this is the big mistake people make in cold emails is they treat it as like the final sales pitch. And it's not. You're starting a conversation. So what you would do is you want to get them from where they are to the next step. So your solution takes them from 1 to 2, but your email takes them from A to B. So for example, what I do for the back end growth for companies in the health and wellness space is I fix their emails so they speak to their audience better, get more reads, get more open read and engage rates, which grows conversion. So I will have a training that I've shot similar to this, and I have a quick training that shows how I do it. Would you be interested in seeing would you be interested in learning the process I use to XYZ? And it gives them an easy way to say yes. It doesn't put an expectation on them to have a meeting. It allows me to send them something of value and then send them a personalization as well. So this is how you build an acquisition channel. The acquisition channel is volume at 10,000 emails a day, getting a 0.01% response rate. It is tailoring an offer to an ideal lead in a way that starts a conversation around what they want to have. Later on in this, I'm going to explain to you how to use time to your power. Most cold emails don't work because they have to work in the moment they're received. But if you have an email that starts a conversation, and it does start a conversation because you're going to have these great open and response rates, over the course of 2 to 4 weeks, you can keep the conversation going and then gently begin to prod them into the sales process. And it's very effective. So let's go to the next phase. Building your email acquisition channel. Step 1, research. So a big part of what makes cold emails work is really know who you're helping. Okay. Your ideal customer has a very specific problem you can solve, right? Knowing who your ideal customer is lets you send customer fit content that's easy for them to engage with and respond to. So let's say I am a marketer or a consultant. Say I'm a consultant that helps improve personal productivity for solopreneurs. That means I need to reach out to solopreneurs who are doing a lot of things. So a great like solopreneur for me to be reaching out to would be like a one-person agency. So I could say something along the lines of, I help solopreneurs get 10 hours or either get 10 hours back or produce 10 more hours worth of work in 1 hour using productivity systems. But by knowing who you help, you make it easy to speak to them in a way that is relevant to the solutions they need. It also lets you know the exact thing, this goes to number 2, of what's keeping them up at night. So every client has like a really bad burning pain point. And the more you know about that pain point, the more you can create content that speaks to it and use it to your benefit. People want problems solved, right? And that goes to point number 3. Usually people are hiring you because they have something keeping them from solving their problem. Now, if you can figure out what's keeping most of your people from solving their problem, that's going to go a long way in the emails that you're writing and the solutions that you're providing to getting more work. But ask yourself this. Why haven't your customers solved this problem? That burning pain point, that thing that is causing anxiety, like why haven't they solved it, right? Is it because they can't do it themselves? Or are they too busy? Are they not skilled enough? Or possibly are they just not even really aware of what the best solution is? By creating your content in the email and all of your engagement post that to focus on this, you make it easy for them to understand the opportunity cost of not solving it and the opportunity of having it solved for them. And then finally, how you can automate engagement. Okay, we are playing a numbers game. I'm not doing mass volume. You can, and it works. But if you have a list of 100 ideal leads that you reach out to once a month, and you have a new list every month, like that's 1,200 leads. If you get a 50% response rate like I do, and you close, 2 to 3 clients a month, that's 24 to 36 clients a year, between $2,000 to $10,000 per month client. You see how it starts to scale really quickly. And the way you can automate engagement is to focus on having a really easy to use CRM. Most people I work with, honestly, like if they're doing less than 100 people, they just use Google Sheets. You pop it in, you track, you usually set like your column of your leads, any links that you need next. And then what I do is the 5 touch points. And so like cold email, did they open yes or no? And then each one goes out for those 4. And if I get to the very end of the 4 and it's not engaged, then just let it go. But by automating this engagement, and a great CRM for this is Folk. A lot of people like that. you make it easy for people to say yes to you because you're touching them over and over in a relevant way. Does it always work? No. Like there's just going to be people who aren't the right time, who don't believe in services like this, who don't have the money. That's fine. You're not focusing on who you're losing. You're focusing on who you can help. Okay. These concepts are going to help you build an email acquisition channel. The research is everything you're going to need to start crafting emails that convert, which brings us to step 2, writing that subject line. All right. How do you get your emails opened? Well, the traditional ways used to be one of two, either the reply thing, which you see here, or quick question. Here's the truth, though. These are outdated. They do kind of work still because some people, especially if you're sending from a name, it's like, oh, do I know this person? Have I had a conversation? The problem becomes is you're displacing trust, right? So it looks like it's something that maybe I should open, and then I open it and I see that you've tricked me into opening it. Now, for a long time, this worked really well, but like most things, these methods are getting saturated. And so, most people have inboxes with like 40 emails in a row. They're like, quick question, reply, quick question. And it's just not as effective. And honestly, like, you don't want to start a relationship with one of your dream clients by tricking them into talking to you, right? I used to be a professional magician. And one of the big mistakes professional magicians make was doing tricks that made people look stupid. So I'll give you an example. Be like, that's your card, right? And people be like, that's not my card. Be like, oh, well, what was your card? And they say 5 hearts. Like, it is the 5 of hearts. Now, the trick is that the card changed. But what people experience is they feel stupid, right? Either, was I not paying attention? Am I stupid? Or was it more of was he trying to make me feel dumb? And you don't want to start relationships like that. You want to start relationships in a way that makes an outcome into a question, which is number 2. So this is a great opportunity for biz ops, especially. So if you have a transformative biz op that truly works, this is great. So what you can do is use open with their name. So like, let's say my name is Jesse. It's like, hey, Jesse, Hooks grew $59,000 a month last month with this done for them backend solution. Here's how. And then it's like a little click to a training. Cool. I'm in the same space as Hooks. I'd love to have that same success. I'm going to see how they did it, right? So you can make an outcome into a question. So like one of the things I do is I help founders build investor relations with content marketing. So I'd say something like, I helped Tillables get 7 new investors in 5 months with content that built their personal brand. Here's how I can do it for you. Boom, super relevant to their needs. Another thing you can do is a name and problem hook. So the name is a great thing to like use because it's very personal, and highlighting a problem shows that you don't just understand like what they're going through, but you make it super relevant to them, right? So let's say, one thing I struggle with is managing the tech sites. Like you could say something along the lines of like, Jesse, are tech problems keeping you from growing as fast as you could? Cool. So got my name. It's clear that you did the research. You're realizing, oh, there's a tech issue that's keeping me from growing. Now that was a mediocre hook because it wasn't really specific. So let me do it again and show you how dialing this in really improves engagement. So, hey, Jesse, I see solopreneurs like you struggle to grow because they have tech issues with integrating CRMs, websites, and emails. I do that for people, so it's all automated. Interested in hearing how? Okay, cool. Now it's like, oh shit, yeah, like that's the exact thing that I would love to know more about. It's not, but so don't email me about it. But like that shows you how going just that little extra step grabs that person. And that's your goal, is you want to grab them and move them into the conversation. Okay, so you've done your research. You know what their pain points are, what the opportunity costs are, what they want, why they haven't done it themselves. You wrote a great subject line. You've done an outcome as a question. You have a name and a problem. Now you're going to go into your hook. So the hook is where a lot of your wins are going to happen. Your hook is the very first thing they're going to read. So this is what they need to see to justify reading the email. So if the subject line won the open, and if you use the ones I suggest they do, you have 4 different things that you can do. And there's a lot more, but these have been the most effective that I've tested. I've tested hundreds of things. The first is social proof. So you can just, like I said, from the first one, like if you have, going back up real quick, if you use the outcomes in a question, social proof is great because social proof is like holding a conversation. So what happens is like Hippo grew $59,000 a month with automation. Here's how. And then you go like, well, let's say 31%. So Hippo grew revenue 31% last month fixing their back end using this process. You can too. Oh, cool. Like it's super relevant, but it's also speaking to the results somebody in my space has had, which makes me believe it can apply to me. Another one is the poke the problem. So like let's say I'm a solopreneur and I'm doing well, but like most solopreneurs, you're struggling with like the feast and famine cycle. So you just poke the problem, be like, Jesse, is the feast and famine sales cycle keeping you up at night? Okay, cool. So like you've acknowledged a problem that I have. But the problem here is like this example isn't super specific. So what you would need to do is make it very specific using your research. So if I was to write this to somebody like me, I'd say something like, hey, Jesse, is the feast and famine sales cycle something that you struggle with? Question mark. If you're tired of staying up at night and want to know that clients come in automatically without worry, I have a training to show you how. Boom. So I poked the problem, gave it a solution. I made it very specific. The next one is ideal outcome. So the ideal outcome is good. This is for people usually who have like SMBs or like a company. And the reason is ideal outcomes speak not just to what they want to see, but how they can help the people who work for them. So let's say I'm a service provider who helps agencies grow more clients. I could say, hey, Jesse, if you grew sales 18% with that new ad spend, how much faster could you scale? Okay, good. Or if that's great if I'm a CPG brand too, like, because there's the digital shelf and the physical shelf. So it's like Nook Coffee. If your sales grew 18% without increasing ad spend, how much faster could you scale? Oh shit, that's really cool. It's an ideal outcome. The challenge with ideal outcomes is if it's not falling in a cycle where an ideal outcome is like really exciting, because like if I'm doing well, it's always nicer to think about doing better. But like if I'm already doing well, it's like, well, that's cool, but I'm happy, right? So that's something to think about. And then finally is the free resource. I love the free resource. I'll get into a system here at the end of this that shows you how personalizing a free resource can absolutely just book you solid, but free resource example. So you give them a short, valuable thing that allows them to see a transformation. So I shoot these videos, I put them on YouTube, but I also send a lot of them to my clients. It's like, hey, I shot a training showing how to fix this. Here it is. So I have these assets cached, and you can create a couple of these too, whether it's a PDF, a video. I'm just using Gamma here. So I pop it in Gamma, I give it a brief read through of what I want, I edit it, and then I go through and I create these videos. So if you create 3 or 4 of these and people start responding, you can just send these resources, right? Okay, so you can give them a free resource, and by giving them a free resource, you make it easy for them to say yes to learning more. And having that free resource with the video, like I do, lets you know if people watch it. Now, if you're sending them to a YouTube page, you're not going to be able to track it. But if you send them to a Loom or a Tele page, those resources will notify you that somebody watched it. So then you could pop in and be like, hey, I saw you watch the video. Do you have any questions? Or if you see after 3 or 4 days they opened it, but they didn't watch the video, you could just follow up and be like, hey, I saw you haven't had time to watch the video. Would it be easier for you to hop on a quick call? So you're just making it easy for them to experience the transformation and staying top of mind. Okay, so we know how to research our client. We know how to create compelling subject lines to get the email open. We know how to create powerful hooks to get the email read. Let's talk about how you can transfer social proof. Now, social proof is an incredible thing for a cold email. A lot of people say, oh, I don't like bragging. Don't listen to them. They're idiots. Social proof isn't bragging. It's a way of adopting the authority or the belief in another asset within your space to yourself. Okay? Case studies are a great way to show that. So you can show how a win that you created can not only like reveal like the authority you have in your space and the experience as well, but it builds trust through somebody else's lens, and it creates a little bit of envy, right? Like if I see that company X got 17% growth last month with 0 ad spend, sure as heck that I want that same growth, right? So the case study shouldn't be something like, here's a case study. It should be like a single sentence that if it's good enough, hooks them into clicking on something that takes them into the free training that explains the process behind it, right? So if I grew revenue 17% for an outbound agency, I don't want to tell like, I did it for here and we used Clay automation and I enriched it like this and I did this and this. Like nobody wants to read that, right? But you can say like, hey, I helped outbound X grow revenue 17% last month. Here's a video showing the process I use. Okay, cool. So like I got the case study, which is the outcome, and then the actual link shows the process and it like supports itself. Another thing is partnership. By showing the people who trust you already, you get the chance to create relationships using other people's authority. So you might not have like a really fancy case study, or you might be under NDAs and can't show the work. That's fine. What you could say is instead of the company, the person, right? So it's like, hey, Nathan from Success Bandit said this about me. The reason why is we did XYZ. I can do the same for you. Let's talk. Now, if I am got my Dream 100 dialed in, and they should know who that person I'm naming is, right? Like, oh shit, you did that for Nathan? I know Nathan. He's in my space. Absolutely want to talk, right? Because what's cool is, and this is what people don't think about, is people don't give a crap about the numbers and case studies or partnerships. What they actually like is that it enables them to talk with those people without you knowing it. So what you're really doing with these transfers of social proof is creating what I call like quiet references. You're not telling them these people are references, but you're giving them space to validate the claims that you make. So that way, if the results do come through and they reach out like, oh yeah, Jesse did do that for me. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So now you just magnified your proof, especially if this person's in their social network, right? Like if you did your Dream 100 well, these people should be in the social network and be like, hey, Nathan, I got an email from a guy named Jesse today. Oh, was it Jesse Jernigan? Oh, he did this for me. This was great. Cool. Then there's no more marketing required because that person did all the selling for you. That is the power of using social proof in emails. Now, you don't want to do big, long listicles. Like I said, a single sentence and then a transfer out to the value of how you delivered. Again, very powerful educational content that just pulls back the truth of how it's done is key. If somebody takes these resources that I'm creating and does themselves, awesome. They're going to tell me later, and then I can say, hey, I create resources so well, somebody is able to generate 366% revenue growth that I've been having to hire me. That's how good I am at this. Cool. That still speaks to me. And the person who had the results probably was not going to hire me anyway. So basically, I got free stuff, right? All right, let's go to the next part. How I get high positive response rates. It's in the ask. Most asks suck. They're just thinly veiled pitches. It's like, hey, if you're interested, I'd be happy to do a free audit. Or, do you have this problem? I can help. Let's talk. And basically all these are is sales pitches, right? And they're not stupid. They know it's a sales pitch. So don't use them. What you want to do is you want to be starting async conversations that let people find the solutions at the pace they want at the resources and platforms they like. I'd say a majority of the people I speak to are either on WhatsApp or email and some Zoom. Now, since I still like larger projects, people like to ask a lot of questions. So I do Zoom at the end, but I managed to probably save 3 or 4 hours a meeting per client by just chatting on WhatsApp, and I can stay conversational. It keeps it personal. And it's less about talking to a salesperson, more about just talking to somebody you like. The ask should add value. And usually I like to send people resources that helps them solve the problems. I put these videos out here on YouTube because I do find some clients through it. But at the same time, I send these videos to people I'm reaching out to and they watch them and they're powerful, right? And it's a great system to still because you're amplifying the value of things you've already created by putting a standard operating process as an asset for everyone to use, right? So you want to add value. You want to make the ask make something compelling enough they want to create. It's like, you want to see the system I used to grow revenue 17% last year for XYZ? Shot a video on exactly everything I did. You can see it by clicking the link below. There's no making them sign up for anything. There's no, gatekeeping the content to get the email or a meeting. They should just access it. And then you just follow up. You use the tracking system I mentioned a little bit ago. Just stay top of mind. What you can do is then if they click, you can then go add them on LinkedIn or so whatever social, right? The goal is just to get engagement. And finally, build a little FOMO. This can be really effective. Don't just ask if they want value. Mention that X number of people have already opted in and X number are already seeing results. So one of the things that I do with a lot of my cold email content is just follow up with people who haven't worked with me or people that have and be like, hey, how's it going? What are the results? And so I'll say last month I sent emails that's like, hey, 38 people opted into this offer last month and 6 already saw a 19% revenue growth. Just a heads up. I'm not trying to bait them, but it's kind of like, oh, okay. I'd like that. I'm interested. It's not like a transactional push. It's not like a lack of consent. You're just saying it's working for other people. So, social proof too, but it's like a FOMO. They want that and they don't have it. Okay. So if you want to get a high response rate to your ask, use these rules. These are the easiest rules to follow. You don't have to use some crazy fancy software. Make it super simple. All right. So how do I make cold email such a profitable acquisition channel? I'm going to tell you something that every outbound expert's going to hate. I personalize all my emails with Loom. I shoot between a 30-second and 2-minute video for each person I reach out to. But I have 10,000 things I send out. Cool. You don't need to do it. What you can do is you can kind of create a broader video like this, put it together, a gamma deck showing the solution, send it out. I personalize it. And what I'll do is I'll send them to either a private YouTube link or just the Loom page itself. And then I'll explain, let's say I'm reaching out to a guy named Barry, right? But Hey Barry, this is Jesse. I saw you do XYZ. I saw problems for that. I just did this for XYZ last month. They saw this return. If you click the link below, it'll take you to a step-by-step training that shows exactly how I did it. So you can apply it yourself, or if you realize it's valuable, but you just want somebody to do it, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'm putting power into their hands. So I'm not trying to make myself like this gatekeeper, but at the same time, I'm also personalizing it to them. And this is like the one thing that makes this such a powerful acquisition channel. And yeah, you can do high volume outbound, but carve out your Dream 100 and do this to the Dream 100, because you can send 10 emails a day, over the course of 2 weeks, 5 business days. So that's 50 emails a week, twice. Do that every month for 3 months. Not only are you going to absolutely outperform your 10,000 email a month like volume send, but you're going to have clients showing up. You're going to build interest. It's like the reality of it is so skewed to how powerful it is. It's just nobody wants to do that work. But like, let's say you can carve out 45 minutes every day to send. You don't even carve out 45 minutes, right? Like if you have a really solid template that you trust, you just plug it in a template and shoot the videos with like 20 minutes, right? Again, this is not going to be for everybody, this last little touch, but I can tell you right now, I generate multiple 6 figures every year. And a big driver behind what starts all of that is this little touch, right? I create great content, I share it freely, and I only start conversations with people that have like convinced themselves with my own content. You can do the same thing. It takes more time, but I tell you what, it pays way more too. And the reason it pays more is you're doing your Dream 100 building. You're not just relying on the leverage of massive numbers. You're relying on the leverage of numbers specific to people you can help. So let's hop on here. How you can get wins without using volume. 1, quality over quantity. Start with your Dream 100, solve that problem. Everything else kind of falls into place. 2, engage and grow. Time is your weapon with cold email, and most people don't realize this. If you were to shift the perspective of cold email from like, I need to book a call in the first 2 emails to, I want to start a relevant conversation from a place of authority for somebody I can help, and I can talk with them over a course of 2 to 4 weeks. By lifting that little time constraint, you suddenly make it very easier for people to find the solution and interest and validate themselves, because you should have great content. If you don't, watch my other video on how to create and use it. Go out there and create it. Make it easy for people to get wins using your insights and systems, and everything else will fall into place because they'll do the work for you. Finally, iterate and optimize. Every month, review your send and optimize based on the data. If certain things are getting great response rates, or other people are responding back, or they're clicking through certain videos and others, take note. Next month, when you do it again, optimize to that, start over. Look, cold email is one of the most powerful acquisition channels, and you absolutely do not need to be doing volume to make it work. If you're interested in finding more about how you can build acquisition channels, grow your revenue, and create systems where customers convince themselves with your content, I've got a nice little booking link in the comments below. Click on it, find a time to chat with me on WhatsApp, and I guarantee you that it will absolutely change your business. Quick note, this is not a cheap thing. So if you're looking for something less than like $1,500, this isn't going to be for you. But if you are looking for some ongoing help over the course of 2 to 5 months, we should talk. I can help. Click the link below. Otherwise, talk to you soon.